Do you get stuck on technology related problems that you just can't seem to break through? Go play a video game. It's my secret trick when I get stuck on problems. If you've worked in the technology industry in any sector for any length of time, you've clearly run across a complex technical challenge that you found difficult to solve. It's made you want to beat your head against the wall, throw your keyboard and laptop or computer across the room, or in my case, rip my hair out. Well, one of the problems that you face if you're working on one of these significant technology problems and you're not making any bit of progress at all, you face burnout within that particular moment on over focusing. So in your case, that could be a moment where you've been staring at code for hours or an error message that you get that the system is generating that just doesn't mean anything. We've all probably have seen some level that's just, you have an error. I've legitimately seen those, only to realize after you sit there and worked on the problem and worked on the problem and worked on the problem, you're just stuck. But going and playing a video game can help you get unstuck. And part of this is from the mind's ability to do background processing, particularly your subconscious is continuing to work on the solution. So taking a break to go play a video game and stepping away from that problem allows your subconscious to continue working on the solution in the background, a background task like on a computer. And it's in a way, it would be similar like taking a walk, but we'll talk about that in a second. That if you have some quick bursts of fun, and in my case, I would use Apex Legends, and I'll explain why, or online chess, this can help reduce those stress levels, and the reduced stress levels will help to enable more effective problem solving. Gaming can create a flow state that refreshes your mental focus, and you get a kind of a fun dopamine hit in the meantime. And the reset, at least in my case anyway, and I think probably in anybody else that actually tries to give this a try, can lead to new ideas once you return to your tech project. Or typically what happens to me is another branch of avenue for troubleshooting actually occurs in the middle of the match that I'm playing. I recently went through this about a week prior to recording this particular video on a new AI tool that I was trying out. It was some open source software to help with character consistency using AI generated images. And never used the platform before, never used the software before, and it required a bunch of different plugins and workflows that I got from other people. It was all open source software. And once I get it completely all set up, and if you looked at the workflow on the screen, there would be red boxes. And if you've got all the red boxes to go away, meaning that all the plugins were installed properly, all the workflows were connected properly, you should have been able to start generating the images that you wanted. And this would be a different way of doing it than using something like Midjourney or ChatGPT with DALL-E, a tool like this. This is something that I was able to install, or trying to install at least, on my local computer. Well, after going through the process, I was just running into this crazy problem where the images weren't generating. It would stop at different spots and come up with an error code that I just could not figure out what was going on. And this went on for about 2 hours. I was spending a lot of time on the knowledge bases. I was spending a lot of time trying to see if there was any support documentation and getting kind of stuck in different spots and not knowing where to go. I said, I need to go do something else. I need to walk away and have my mind occupied with something that I considered more fun. So I ended up firing up chess.com and I ended up playing a 10-minute match. As we're getting to the end of the time limit, it hit me. This wasn't a software problem. This was a hardware problem. Just what type of hardware problem? And once I started digging deep into it, I realized that I was limited on the amount of VRAM on my video card that was causing the process to stop. But it just wasn't a clear error message with the way the program was set up and the way the workflows had connected themselves. So by taking that break, it allowed my mind to completely focus on a different task. And subconsciously, it was working in the background. I never even thought about it because I'm such a poor chess player that I was trying to focus on beating the opponent that I was playing in at the moment, but kept it to a 10-minute game. So how would you set up your own gaming break effectively? The first thing you want to do is you want to identify if you actually even need a break. Some parameters to set around yourself are, if you're making consistent progress, meaning You've solved a particular error message in a code or some other configuration, whatever it is that you may be working for, but you're still getting a domino effect, meaning you fixed one error message that may have led to another error message. Keep going. Keep going as long as you're making progress and generating new errors. Only use this and take this particular break if you're really, really stuck on something. You've been at the computer screen for an hour or two. I can't find anything in the forums. I can't find anything in knowledge bases. I just have made no progress. There's no new errors, or I keep finding myself stuck in the same loop and I'm getting the same error message over and over and over again. Then once you realize that you're stuck, you've been at it for a while, you're beating your head against the wall, make sure that you have a time limit. I mentioned at the top that I would play Apex Legends or more recently chess as a way for having that mental distraction. And the reason, and I'll go back to Apex Legends because I did that one for years, a match would last no more than 10 to 15 minutes. If you made it all the way through to the way the battle royale system worked and you played the full match and you were one of the last teams in there, roughly 15 minutes was about the time period. And in that period of time, that was typically enough to give my mind a rest, and that new idea will pop up. But you want the break set to a small time limit so it doesn't become where you're binging, where you're just like, the dopamine of the game itself starts taking over control. You need to be cognizant of that once the idea pops into your head, if you have one. You also want to choose something that's fully engaging. Again, the quick immersive games. A lot of people will play Fortnite, Call of Duty. Maybe even it's a puzzle game that's on your mobile device to walk away. Something that fully distracts your mind from what you're working on to give it a mental break. So you're basically filling up your mind with something that hopefully you have found fun that you're not actively thinking about. And then after you've taken the break, 10 or 15 minutes, jot down any new ideas that may have come up, particularly mid-game. Again, that's typically how this happened to me. And then dive right back into it. You've got a fresh perspective. I would also encourage you that if you're doing this, that you're not sitting at the same desk, the same table, the same chairs, the same computer that you're actively working on. Make sure you've transitioned yourself to a new environment. This is not an excuse to go play a game every time you've run into a minor roadblock as, oops, I got an error message. I need to go play. No. That's not how this works. And if you need to, use timers or alarms to keep yourself disciplined. Now, some people will say, hey, that sounds like a waste of time, or I don't like playing video games. You can do other stuff. Steve Jobs was famous for taking walks to solve problems, or even take his meetings walking. Walking is great stimulation on top of exercise. One of the things that I would say when it comes to solving a more technical problem that you've been stuck on for a while is walking in and of itself. You're not having your mind and brain focused on an unrelated task fully. So if you don't like playing video games, but you've got something else that's integral to your life, let's say you've got a hobby playing an instrument, go set yourself up a 15-minute session. I found gaming is a powerful way to reset my mind, tackle that in the moment stress, and spark some creativity when trying to solve technology problems. But let me know in the comments below if you've got another tip or trick when you get stuck on something that you have found useful that somebody else may find useful as well.